So today we are going to make a ghost wreath for Halloween. And if you have watched my channel or if you've seen any of my videos, you will know that probably half of the videos that I put out here I've never done before. And I'm doing them the first time as I'm filming it and sharing it with you. So if I make mistakes or whatever, I will show you how I remedy these mistakes and I just have fun with it. Well, today is definitely one of those days where I've never done this before. Again, in my head, I thought this should work. So I wanted to try it and it worked. So I am showing it to you and let's see what you think about it. Let's get going. Okay, so for this ghost wreath, we're going to need a few things. A witch hat form, an 8-inch ring form. Both of these are from Dollar Tree. I got this check fabric mesh, and then we need some zip ties. Take this witch hat form. What we are going to do, we're going to leave this triangle part here. Okay, so I'm going to cut on either side where this triangle ends. Okay. Then over on this side. Okay. And then right here at the very bottom where this connects right there. Okay, so we have this triangle. What I'm going to do, I'm going to take this part that we cut off and I'm going to attach it right here. This is going to be the arms of the ghost, okay? So let's just attach it with 4-inch zip ties. Actually, and it's going to slide around and move around, but once we get the plastic canvas on, it will stay in place. Okay, now this would obviously be too skinny for a head, so that's why I'm going to be using the 8-inch round form. And we're gonna make that be the head. So where this crossbar is, kind of want to get that attached to the very top. So I got it attached up at the top, and I'm gonna attach it here on this, what's that, the second ring from the top, or the second rung, I guess, on this witch hat. Okay, and try to make sure that, yes, it is centered and everything. And that looks pretty good. So yeah, you can still move it around, but again, once we get that plastic canvas attached to this form, it'll stay where it's supposed to stay. Like this flips up and down. It'll stay once we get the plastic canvas attached. Okay? But before I do that, I want to just spray paint this white because I want to make sure that we don't really see the form through the through our mesh. Okay? Okay, and to spray paint this, I'm just going to use some Rust-Oleum, some just white paint. It doesn't matter whether it's glossy, matte. I'm using semi-gloss. It really doesn't matter. I just like to use Rust-Oleum just to make sure if this is left outside, gets wet or anything like that, that it's protected. Okay, so here is my form. It almost looks like an angel. What I did, I went outside, sprayed it once, waited 2 hours to let it dry, flipped it over, sprayed it again, and waited a couple hours, brought it in, okay? And now I have this piece of plastic canvas. It is 20 inches long and 13 wide. Well, it fits perfectly lengthwise, but as you can see, there's a little spot over here and a wide spot over here because I brought it all the way to the corner here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put it onto the plastic canvas using 4-inch zip ties. I'm not going to worry so much about this side up here because this side, we're not going to attach anything that close to the edge. So I'm not going to worry about that, but I am going to piece in a piece right here, okay? So I'm just going to attach this entire form using 4-inch zip ties, cut it out, and then we will go ahead and piece this part in. All we simply need to do is find a small piece that we can fit right along here, okay, and basically attach these holes to these holes using your 4-inch zip ties again, okay. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and double, like 2 holes here and 2 holes here. That will get it good and on there. Goodness gracious, showing you how I'm doing this is making it more difficult than just doing it. And then just attach this to this part. Okay, so I'm going to show you this side by side instead of up and down, just because it'll be easier for you to see this. What I'm going to do, I always like to put lines on my forms just so I know exactly where I want to put the zip ties. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with the arms, which if you look closely, you can see I wasn't paying attention to how long my arms were and their different lengths. If I measure from this point to here, you can see it's 7 inches, whereas from this point to here is 8. So I'm not going to take it apart and redo it. We're going to just work with it. It's just something that when you're making this, maybe pay a little more attention than I did. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with the arms and just go, instead of going from the tip, obviously, I'm going to go from here and I'm going to count, I'm going to go 2 inches, okay? And on the 2-inch mark, I'm going to draw a line, and then I'm going to go 1 more inch and draw another line. I'm just going to kind of make that a little bit more double right there on the end. So I'm going to do the same thing from over here, go 2 inches, and then 1 more inch. Okay, so now I'm going to go from the bottom. I was going to go every 2 inches, but if I did that, we would be right on that line, and we're going to be putting zip ties there. And right where that wire is from that form, that would make it a little bit difficult. So what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to go one up from there. Okay, so right where the 2-inch mark would normally be right here, I'm going to go just one line up, and I'm going to put a line right there. Okay, so this would be the 2-inch mark from there, and I'm going to go one line up, and I'm just going to keep doing that from this point, and just go every 2 inches. And I may not even pay too much attention to these lines as I get up here. When we get to that point, we'll see what we do. You know what? I wasn't even thinking. I do want to put one line going straight down the middle so I have a good idea where the middle of my form is just as I'm putting that on. So I'm just going to put a line going straight up the middle. For this project, we are going to be using, well, at least I'm going to be using today, some check fabric mesh. They also have striped fabric mesh. So you may, whichever one you wish to use. I just got this check fabric mesh, wanted to try it, something different, okay? Now, but if you notice, this is 10.5 inches long, not 10 inches. So it's just a little bit different than like your regular mesh or your poly burlap. Okay, now it's not expensive as the poly burlap. It is more expensive than the just the regular deco mesh. It's obviously it's a little thicker than your deco mesh, but not as thick as the poly burlap. So I just kind of wanted to go somewhere in between. I thought this wouldn't be quite so see-through as the deco mesh, but it has a little more of an airy look about it instead of the poly burlap. So that's kind of why I went with this, okay? This is the beginning of the roll here. So you can see it's a little frayed and doesn't look quite so good right here on the edge. In fact, there's a little imperfection right here. So I'm just going to cut kind of right there, get that imperfection out of there. So normally I would want to cut right there, like maybe the first inch or whatever, just to get that this fraying out, but I wanted to get that imperfection out too. Okay, so yes, I am using a wood burning tool to cut. You can get this off of Amazon. I will have the link in the description. You can get it at Walmart too. So, but I am going to bring this all the way over to the side. Okay, there's my 10-inch mark. So I'm just going to go just a little over 10 inches. I'm not going to go all the way to the 10.5. Just slightly over 10 inches. And try to stay within that line there. It will definitely help reduce the fraying. Okay, so, so after cutting that first part off, I wanted to explain to you, I am using a wood burning tool, okay? And with these wood burning tools, you need to use a glass cutting board, okay? So you're gonna see a little reflection on there, but it's a glass cutting board. That way it can take the heat. And I wanna see through it to my cutting mat so I can see where I'm cutting, okay? And I have like a 10-inch mark from the side marked here. So what I'm going to do, because I normally will cut at 10 inches, but since this is 10.5, I'm just going to go slightly over that 10-inch mark. And I'm going to try to stay within that line of the mesh, even though it gets a little crooked in the one spot. I'm just going to stay within that line. That way it helps to cut down on the frame. Now, if like the factory edge, it likes to have like some of these want to come off, you know what, just pull it off. It's not going to hurt anything, okay? That way you have a much cleaner line on the edge, okay? Okay, so I'm going to make a couple of these petals for you. What I'm going to do, it really doesn't matter what side this finished factory edge is on. Personally, I would keep it all the same, but it really doesn't matter because it's not a prominent edge, okay? So what I'm going to do though, I'm going to take my 10.5 piece by 10.5 piece of fabric mesh. I'm going to take it from one corner and go all the way to the other corner. And you can see it kind of looks like a bow tie. I'm going to flip one piece over top of the other. Okay. And it really doesn't matter. This, I'm not looking for perfection, okay? I'm just going to get this zip tied shut. It doesn't matter really how far the one corner is from the other, anything like that. It's going to be fine, okay? And even if they don't match up perfectly, it's going to be fine, I promise you. So let me show you again with one more piece. Okay. I'm going to take it from one corner up to the other. We got that bow tie, okay? And then I'm going to put one, flip it right over, kind of over top, so it's overlapping. Kind of squeeze this together. Get my zip tie. Tie it shut. Okay. So I pulled out a bunch of 6-inch zip ties that I'm going to be using. I have a bunch of petals made and I'm just going to get started. What I want to do, I want to start on the arms first. And I'm going to put one on this first line, 1 inch in. I'm going to do 2 here. Okay. And then I'm going to do, I don't know yet if I'm going to do 3 or just 2 here. I'm going to decide as I'm doing it. Okay. So I'm going to do 1 right here in the center. And as I am putting these in, I'm going to go in 1 hole, skip a hole, come out. And then I just like to get my zip ties started and then put a petal in. Now, the reason I decided to only go 1 inch is just to make this a little thicker, not quite so see-through. And then when I get to this point down here, I'm going to go slightly, I'm going to go around this, the form here, and I'm going to angle it slightly down. And I'm going to go right in from here. So I'm going to be underneath this form here. okay, where it goes across. And I'm in from the angled part of the form. Again, going straight across here. And I think we'll be fine with just doing one more. Okay, so again, I'm not going to go straight down. I'm going to go over. And I'm not going to be on that line either. I'm going to kind of take that over just a little bit. Again, at an angle. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing over here. Okay, so for the body, I'm going to start in the middle and go out. So I have that line showing me where the center is. And I believe I'm going to go 7 across. So 1 here, and then 3 more on either side. I'm going to show you from this side how this is looking so far. Okay. You can see that they're fairly even. If they're not completely even, it's fine. This is a ghost. This is going to be like a sheet. So I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to go the next line up. Okay. And I think I'm only going to do 6 across there. I think we'll be okay with 6. And then I'll probably do another 6 here. We'll see. Okay, so this is what it looks like so far. This is from this side. Okay, you can see it's getting very full this way. Okay, and you can see a lot of that marker came off on my hand. But anyhow, this is getting very full. I actually only have 3 pieces left, so I'm gonna have to make a lot more petals. And I think 1 more roll should do it. I got a bunch more petals made. I got my zip ties. We're ready to keep going. I'm going to just go up and keep going along these lines that I made. I am going to go down to 5 here. Okay. I'm gonna stick with 5 and then increase as I go up. So, and this one here is going to be very awkward with having this underneath, but it's going to work. Now starting here, I think I'm going to go from the outside in and just see if there's a difference in the flow of this, because again, this is going to be a sheet, so we kind of want it to just have different flows as it's going down. So I'm going to try it, see if it works. if you don't notice it, you don't notice it. It's not going to be the end of the world. So yeah, outside in. Actually, I'm only going to go 5 across. At this point, I'm going to try to get these to go a little bit more to the side, okay? And I actually want right about here to be my ending point, and you'll see why. I'm not going to go around that outside there. And that's right, I wanted to go from the outside in, and I went inside out, didn't I? Oh well, okay. Let's go back to the outside in. Okay, so as I get up here, I'm just going to do a couple to kind of cover these. And again, I want to try to end up here. We'll see how this works. So I'm going to try to go like right in between these. And at an angle. I'm going to do one more right here. Okay. Okay, so I made this little face, that just the eyes and the mouth for this ghost. I made in Canva. If you want a copy of it, I will have a link here. Just send me an email. I will send you a free SVG, and you can have a copy of this to use for yourself. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this on foam board. I think somebody gave this to me a few years ago, and I've never used it. So, but what I'm going to do, I'm just going to trace this out onto this foam board. I'm going to use a pencil and just push down very heavily right along the edge. If you could use, I actually was just going to use the tip of a paintbrush and just use that. Okay. And you probably can't see it there, but there is an indentation here. Okay, so I have my cutting mat underneath. Okay. And since it's self-healing, it's not going to get ruined. But I'm going to go ahead and just use an X-Acto knife. I got this from Walmart. I will put a link to where you can get that in the comments or in the description. I'm just going to use this X-Acto knife and very slowly, very carefully trace this out and cut this out. Okay, so it wasn't pretty, but I got that done. Okay, and I'm just going to use some sandpaper or whatever I can find to kind of trim this down and get it nice and even around the sides. And something also to notice with the foam board, one side has grid marks. This side does not. We are going to be using the side that does not have the grid marks. So you definitely want to make sure that's the side that looks good. Okay, it's still not exactly perfect, but I have a pretty decent oval shape. And then I'm going to do another one, and then I'm going to trace out the mouth all the same way. Okay? So I'll meet you back here when I'm done. Okay, I just want you to see, I took just this dry paper towel, was wiping off my mat, and you can see it just, there's all kinds of dust from sanding these down. So I just want to recommend that you wipe off your cutting mat before you put your white ghost back on there, because yeah, you don't want it to get dirty. Okay, so I'm going to wipe this down. I'm actually going to wet this and wipe it down and make sure this is good and clean. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, I am going to use what I made here, okay, and try to figure out, make sure that we are just about where I want to be for the face. What I kind of did, I took just this oval and I have it just slightly turned to the side, and then smiley face kind of turned a little bit to the side. Just, I think it makes it a little bit cuter. That's all. So that's what I'm just going to glue these on. And again, this foam board has like a little grid on one side and not on the other. So I'm going to make sure that grid side is the side that's down. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and just glue these directly on. Now, if you would feel safer, just like maybe gluing some wire to the back and then wiring it on, that way you can move it around, go ahead and do that. You would just have to push the wire through the mesh that's on here. I just think it's going to be just fine just gluing it directly on. I want to make sure that my mesh is in place where I want it to be. I don't want it to be, too willy-nilly, I guess, and kind of just make sure we're good. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and glue this on, and then we are going to do what we can with this top here. Okay, I started just using hot glue. You can see I put it on there and hurried up and took it off. What I think would work even better, just in case somebody from somewhere in the South is going to buy this, I want to be sure that the hot glue doesn't melt. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this E6000. I'm going to put it right around the outer edge. You don't really need a lot of it. Okay, so I have that. Then I'm going to hot glue right here in the middle. The hot glue is going to get it to stick right now, where the E6000 will keep it on later on. Okay, so I originally made this bow, and I thought it would look really cute up at the top here. I would have to shorten the things though, but as you can see, it's not going to hide all of the zip ties up at the top. So that's not going to be quite enough. That would have been cute. Maybe a bigger bow, maybe, using a wider yeah, like 3 inches wide instead of 1.5 inches like that. But what I ended up doing, I started cutting this already. This was a bush of flowers that I got from Dollar Tree. They're just black roses with some purple in there, and it has some purple glitter. Kind of pretty, okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually cut these even a little bit more. Okay, so we don't have much of a stem on there at all. I'm going to use both hot glue and E6000. What I'm going to do, I think I'm going to use the E6000, put it right around the bottom of these leaves here. Okay, and then use some hot glue on the stem itself. Okay, I think she's looking good. If I wanted to, I could even maybe take some black pipe cleaners, make little eyelashes going around the sides there just to make sure everybody knows she's a girl. But if you wanted to do a boy, you can put like maybe a top hat up on top to hide the those zip ties up there. Yeah, figure out something that you think would, you know, work out good, but I think this looks great. So we have our finished ghost. I think she is adorable. I did add these eyelashes and just a little bit of white. I always like to, even though I'm not really a painter, it's just a couple things that I've learned, but one of the things that I learned is to add a little bit of white, or, you know, like a shadow or something, just to give it a little depth. And so I think that little bit of white really helped. The eyelashes, I think, help make sure everybody knows it's a girl wreath because of the flowers, right? If you wanted to make a boy, again, put like a top hat on there, or maybe even a cowboy hat, something like that. It would be really cute, right? So I think this turned out adorable. I don't know if there is anything I would do differently. I think it turned out great. Yeah, if you look at the back, which a lot of people will always want to see the back, okay, there's the back there. I did not add anything to hang it because you can see right there, that is going to be what hangs your wreath. So that works perfectly fine, right? So I'm in love. I think she looks fantastic. I didn't think this was going to work, but it did. So I'm so happy. My name is Patty Davis. I'm with Crooked Tree Creations, and I'll see you in our next video.